Welcome to the Tipsy Guest Podcast. I am your host, Marco Buenrostro, and every week I'm here with the top industry experts, amazing clients, and all my vendor BFFs to bring you the best tips, advice, and juicy behind-the-scenes stories to make wedding and event planning a breeze. So grab your favorite drink and let's get this party started! Hi guys, welcome back to the Tipsy Guest. I am Marco, your host, and today we're going to be talking all things alcohol. This is the Tipsy Guest. And speaking of Tipsy Guest, I have Melissa from Bartenders for you.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much. It feels like I was just here.
I know. I am very excited. Last time, you are so chatty. I love it. I can talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Sometimes I tell it to my clients too. I'm like, you may need to stop me, because I can chat it up.
No, I like that because you always have so many things to say that are very, very helpful, and I always learn something new every time I have a conversation with you. I feel like I learned something new.
Oh, well, same to you. So I love this. It was like a vendor friendship, and now it's become like a real friendship, and I love that.
Yes. Yeah. So and of course, because it's a Tipsy Guest, we are drinking.
We are, yes. We have
it is a drinking episode.
It is. That's right. Not sponsored, but we are looking for sponsors.
Definitely. Yes. So, okay. So, there's so much to talk about when it comes to alcohol. There's legal stuff. There's the fun stuff. There's I guess the different, I don't know what a bartending company offers, to couples. So talk to me. Tell me everything.
All different kinds of things. So I will say, my husband and I actually purchased Bartenders for You this February. So we will, depending on when this episode comes out, it could be almost up a year. I'm not quite sure. But so we bought it in February, February 13th of 2024. And so when we purchased it, we were just so excited. And so this company has been around for 17 years. And so it started off with just staffing, and now it's grown a whole lot. And so that's what Craig and I are doing as well. We're just helping it grow. We now offer, so it's not just bartending. So with the state of Texas, that you can actually, it's called a dry hire bar. So the clients provide all the alcohol, and then we will go ahead and we can provide the mixers, we can provide the ice, we can provide the coolers, we can do custom, napkins, cups, drink stirs, all of those things, bars. We have trailers that are bars as well. So we have a whole thing that it's not just bartenders. It really is a whole, it just runs the gamut of what we can offer. We even do what we call sexy ice cubes, which is they're like a giant ice cube with their actual monogram in it.
I love those.
Yeah, all different kinds of stuff. So we really try to, anything bar related, we want it to be about the convenience, one-stop shop. You can just come to us and we'll take care of everything.
I did not know you provided all of that. Yeah. I thought you would do the bartending stuff, but then all the
everything.
Custom stuff was made by the designers and let's take a second here to give a shout out to Jennifer Smith.
Yes, Jennifer. She's the one who started it out in 2000. So hold on, 2007.
I'm gonna cut you off. No more wine for you. You're
I know,
forgetting
right?
things.
I know. Listen, math is not my strong suit. I'm telling you that right now. Yeah, no, but 2007, I believe, is when she started it. So about 17 years ago, and so I will say she ended up calling me and she said, "Hey." We were chatting about something else, something having to do with a bar that we were using for one of my clients. And then she just asked me, she was like, "Hey, I've got a question for you." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "What is it?" She goes, "Do you think that you will be in this business for the long haul?" And I told her, I go, "That's not what you want to ask me." I said, I was like, "Stop being around the bush. What do you want to ask me?" And she goes, "Well, Charlie and I are thinking about retiring, and we are thinking about selling the business. And there's only 2 people that I think that could handle this level, because I do about 600 events a year." And and she goes, "And I'm not talking to the other one. I'm talking to you." And I said, "Yes." I said, "Absolutely." I was like, "Let's do it." And so I asked her a couple of questions. I hung up the phone, ran to my husband's office, and because this was like a Sunday or a Saturday, and I go, "We're buying a bartending business." And he was on the computer and he goes, "What?"
Oh my goodness.
I know. And then that was 2 years actually prior to us actually signing and and purchasing it. And I mean, when you're buying a business, it takes conversations, you're buying, literally we bought everything. I mean, even down to like the pens and the paper, like in their office, we bought everything.
I love
and so,
it.
Yeah. And so they're now nicely retired, and they're actually going to be moving to Colorado.
Ooh,
so I know that's
perfect weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my
so
goodness.
they're doing all they've got grandbabies, and
I know. I see her all the time
Yeah.
posting on social media about her kid. The
Yeah,
babies, the grandbabies.
Yeah. So it was great. And then, and it was perfect. So my husband actually quit his job. And so him and I, we run it together, and, he does he does the math stuff, because clearly I cannot do that. But he does all like we tell people how much alcohol to purchase, how much, and a lot of people will just talk to us and say like, well, how much do we purchase? It really is based on how many guests, how many hours of service are you going to be doing? And then from there, we can go ahead and calculate everything. And then it's also percentages. What percentage are beer drinkers? What percentage are wine drinkers? What percentage are alcohol drinkers? And then we go from there. And so it's not, I mean, it's a lot of math. And he actually has a whole spreadsheet of how to do it, like a custom event and all this stuff. And
oh, wow.
He's made it easy for me. So when people ask, I just have to plug in the numbers, because I can't do all those formulas.
I like that. Yeah. That is so cool.
But it's a lot. It's not just staffing. We do a lot of different things. So
okay, I like that. So I guess right now that you're talking about like that type of alcohol and beer, wine, champagne, whatever it is. So do you normally recommend? Well, I guess each wedding is going to be different, but do you normally recommend certain things? Or do they just say like, hey, this is what we have. What can you give us? What can you make?
Yeah. So we do a couple of different things. So we actually have a tasting room in our office we do complimentary tastings, and they can come in, we can figure out their signature drinks. We'll send them a questionnaire. We ask, what do you like to drink? What is it? Are you a whiskey person? Are you tequila? Do you like vodka? Or gin? There's so many different types of things. And then we'll come in, and then Jen, our lead mixologist and bartender, she will go ahead and chat with them and say like, okay, based on that, I'm going to make you something, and then I may make you something that you don't think you may want, but then like, well, let's just figure it out. And those tastings are normally an hour to an hour and a half, and then we'll figure out what they want for their signature cocktail. Now, a lot of times I always suggest, again, depending on the amount of people, no more than three to four beer types, wine, same thing. And then alcohol, I would just, a lot of people will do a stock the bar party. And I always tell them, like, if you're doing that, put parameters on what they're going to be supplying for that stock the bar, because sometimes what happens is the guests, they bring in all their alcohol, and it's like 10 different beers, and it's only like one case of Ultra or and if someone comes up, we can't put all of that up on the bar. So it really kind of depends. So that's why we say, like, put parameters if you're having a stock the bar party, which I love those, but you have to say, like, this is what we're looking for. Be very specific. Okay.
Yeah. I guess, whenever, can people bring their own alcohol?
Yeah.
I mean, is that, I guess the question is, of course they hire you, you're doing all the bartending. I guess, I don't know if it's something that has to do with the venue, or what if somebody shows up with their own bottle and they have it on their table?
So no, they definitely can't do that. So so I will say 99.9% of the venues here in Texas, you have to have a licensed TABC bartender to go ahead and serve the alcohol. If, let's say, Uncle Good Times comes in and he's brought his own bottle of whiskey, we will calmly say, like, I'm so sorry, sir. We will be happy to serve this for you, but it will be behind the bar. We'll give them a secret code word, make them feel very special.
Got it.
But yeah, no, they cannot provide their own alcohol. I mean, they cannot just have an alcohol sitting on the table. It has to be served by a licensed bartender. So yeah, it's
okay. Because I mean, I come from a Mexican family, and I mean, Mexican
Same.
parties always like, oh yeah, we're gonna put a bottle of whatever in each table, and people are just gonna bring their own thing, and they show up with like the ice chest full of like stuff.
Yes, yeah.
But I guess that's just back in Mexico.
Well, no, it's not. There's, I would say there's a lot of different cultures here that it's the same way. I mean, also I'm Mexican, so yeah. But we do a lot of I don't want to call it the specific cultures, but they do that, and so we will calmly, either the security or one of the bartenders will go out, and we'll have to ask, or the wedding planner will have to say, like, hey, we can't have this here, because you have to, as bartenders, they are seeing who's coming up to the bar, who's coming, what are they how many drinks have I served this person? They're very good about doing that. And I mean, when you're hiring staffing like that, they should be, obviously they have to be TABC licensed, but not only that, but they should be like, our company is insured. We're insured up to the teeth. You are dealing with liquor and you're dealing with alcohol. That is a huge thing. So if you're hiring, not just, any company, you need to ask them, are you insured? And most of the venues here will ask for that, require insurance. But you can never be too careful.
I like that. I like that. Anytime that we're dealing, with just vendors, or like when, at least for me, when I'm dealing with a bride, sometimes they ask that and they're like, well, why are you, more expensive than this other company? Or I was like, well, first, I'm a real company. Right. I'm not just doing this on the side, we have insurance, we've been in business for 10 years, blah, blah, blah. But yes, insurance is always one of the things that we bring up to our client or potential clients, because they're like, hey, you need to make sure that you hire vendors that have insurance. Right. You never know.
And a lot of times they'll say like, oh, my uncle or my aunt is going to do that. And then the venue requires insurance. And then if the vendor that you are hiring does not have it, then they're going to ask you to pay for it. So that's something else that you're going to have to pay for, because to cover them. Yeah. And then now that could be like another like $200 that you weren't anticipating. It's at the very end of, a planning process. It's a whole thing. So so always ask for insurance for your companies.
See, there's another tipsy tip right there.
Yeah, tipsy tip. I love it.
The tipsy tip of the day. Yes. Oh my goodness. So when it comes to, most of the weddings, they have like a specialty drink, like the groom's drink or the bride's drink. Right. Is that something that, let's say, for example, it comes with the package that they hire you for, or is that like an upgrade?
So we can do, I never want someone to have to pay for something that they're not going to need. So I tell that to our planning clients. I tell it to our bar clients as well. And so we can do, I will say 99.9% are custom packages. So we have like our essentials where we have everything from like ice to like, stir straws, everything and everything in between that we'll supply. But if you have a signature drink that the ingredients are not in that, depending on what it is, like if you have like your signature drink is going to be like a vodka tonic. Well, our tonic already comes in the essentials, so we're not going to have to pay extra because you're already paying for that. But if it's something else, like let's say it's a mojito or something, and those things are not in there, so then yes, we add it, and we do it by the serving. So, that's all in there, so they can add that in. It's a different add-on.
Okay. And then earlier when you mentioned about the bartending keeping some like track of who's getting what, how many drinks they've had and stuff like that. That is so impressive. Like, I'm impressed by that. Seriously.
They are, yes. Someone will come up to the bar and they'll say, hey, another Chardonnay. And they're like, oh my gosh.
How do they remember these things?
That is a skill that I do not have. I'm often one that's like, I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, I forgot this person's name.
That's me. Or even like sometimes when we go to vendor mixers all the time. All the time. Sometimes I'm like, introduce myself to people and I'm like, oh my gosh, I already met this person before. Like, and I feel like I know people by company name versus the actual name of the person. Right. And sometimes it's really embarrassing. But we work with so many people. So for the bartenders to remember that, it's crazy.
It is such a skill. And so, all of our bartenders, they are trained. They are, they have to have like a certain amount of training before we even send them off by themselves. But it's, it is a certain, and it comes down to customer service. That is one of our biggest things. It is customer service. How do we, interact with your guest? How do we, like, even if we have to cut somebody off, we do it quietly. We do it very respectfully, and
very demure.
Exactly. Yes. Very demure. Yes. But we do that so that way we don't ever want to embarrass somebody or do something like that. So or it's a reflection of the bride and groom. Mm-hmm. That is how we think, everything at that wedding is an extension of the client, the corporate event, corporation, whoever has hired us is an extension of them. So we want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward. That's one of our biggest things.
I like that. You sound so professional.
Totally. I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. So is there like a limit now that we're talking about that? Mm-hmm. Is there a limit? Like when do they cut them off?
So it really is like if they start coming in and they are, I mean, it's like, are they walking? Do they have a different type of swagger as they're coming in?
Yeah.
Is their speech slurred? That kind of stuff. And sometimes we'll just say like, hey, you know what? If they come up to the bar, you know what? Here, buddy, have this bottle of water. Come back to me in 30 minutes and then let's have another, we'll have another conversation. So we'll kind of like talk to them about that first before it's like maybe like a really hard cutoff. But we do not, if we see that immediately, all of our bartenders know like you cannot, because it's not just, I mean, you're dealing, if someone gets behind the wheel, something like that's a lot of, it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that everybody is, and just safe. And
yeah.
That's our biggest thing is safety.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
How many bartenders are normally out at a wedding? I guess I'm sure it depends on the guest count, but I guess an average.
On average, so we normally do, so actually this past weekend, all 30 of ours were out. Every single person was out, but per event, we normally do one bartender per 100 people. Now, like if it gets 150, we're going to add in that second bartender. Now, I will say if the client says, I don't care, I want 2 bartenders for my 80-person wedding, absolutely. We will do that. No problem. We can absolutely do that. It also depends on, are there a lot of signature drinks? Is there glassware that's going to be?
Yeah.
So all of those factors go into how many bartenders we actually will recommend.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Have you ever had to cut off a bride or a groom? You're like, hey, sorry, too much.
Yeah. We had one recently where we actually had to shut the whole bar down.
Oh, wow.
Because the guests had been drinking prior to the ceremony, so it was not on our bartenders and their serving. They had been, so when they already get there, I think there was like a bus or something like that they had
like
all like it's a party bus they had all traveled on and everything, so that was a little bit to where like, hey, I think and when you do something like that, we don't take that lightly. It is the venue manager, the planner, the police officers, and the bartenders all talking to make that executive decision. And then I was not there at that time, but the bartenders did call us because as the owners, they're like, hey, I just want to let you know this is what's going on. And I really think that, and I said, we have to make sure that everybody's safe. And if this is the consensus and you're there and you're seeing that, that tells me like, yes, we need to cut that off. And we got a review the next day from them. They're like, oh my gosh, it was such an amazing party. And it was like a 30 minutes to 45 minutes that we cut it off before actual end time. So it wasn't that big, but it was still, you don't ever want to have to do that.
Yeah. It's so crazy. I had crazy, this is the tipsy story of the episode. We had a groom one time that was so drunk. He almost beat up my photo booth attendant. They literally had to drag him away from the photo booth. So it was a wedding. It was a few years back. It was I'm never going to forget. I was doing a wedding at the St. Anthony downtown. And this other wedding was at the Westin. Down the street. It was right there. So it's time to close the photo booth.
Right.
And it always happens, by the time that we're closing, people want to keep going, or it always happens. It's like closing time and everyone's like, oh my God, one more photo.
Right.
And we try to accommodate, but, sometimes we just have to cut it off and be like, if we say yes to you, then we're going to have to say yes to the next person and the next person and the next person. So this time it was the actual groom. He came to the photo booth and he was like, hey, I haven't taken a picture with my grandma. She's been sitting the whole night. Right. She's blind. Like we didn't want to have her walking around and stuff like that. Can you take a photo of us or whatever? So the photo booth then was already taken down. So he calls me and I'm like, sure. I'm like, let's make sure we get that photo.
Right.
He's like, well, I was already like halfway taking it down or whatever. I was like, put the umbrella back, turn the camera back on. Like, let's do it. So he told the groom, like, yeah, just go get her. We're good. I'll when you go get her, I'll start setting it up again or putting it back together. So then I guess like 15 minutes went by and he never came back. And then, my attendant calls me and he's like, hey, it's been like 15 minutes and photo booth is back up. Like, what do I do? And I was like, well, we waited 15 minutes. So let's just, tell the planner that we're going to take it down. So he's like, okay, cool. So he starts taking down and the groom comes as he's taking down. And he starts yelling at him, like cursing at him, like almost going at him.
Oh my gosh.
Like, why didn't you wait? And blah, blah, blah. This is my grandma and la, la, la. Like he was like like they literally dragged him away because he was getting ready to punch my photo booth attendant.
How embarrassing.
It was so bad. It was so horrible.
For him,
But the thing is, like, these people are, they've been drinking all day.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So, I thought that was going to be the end of the story. Of course, I was going to send an email, like maybe
Right.
like this Saturday night. I was going to maybe send an email on Monday morning or whatever. So I'm finishing up my wedding at the St. Anthony, and I get an email from the groom.
Oh, my God.
And this is like 1 a.m. on a Saturday after they got married.
Oh, my
He's in the
gosh.
hotel room probably like just emailing me.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's emailing me and he's like, this is so disrespectful. I want my money back. You breached your contract and blah, blah, blah. And you didn't do this and your attendant did that. And I'm like, oh, my God. I'm not even going to respond to this email. It's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You are obviously drunk emailing me, on something that you made the scene,
Yeah.
So it was so crazy to me. Like, that was so crazy. But that goes to show you, like, people get really drunk.
They do.
Oh my God, I love this because that's not the end of it.
No.
That was 1 a.m. I get another email. Of course, I don't see it until the next day, around like 4 a.m. Another one. But this time it's the bride.
Oh, gosh.
And same thing. Like she kept going. Like it was a continuation of the groom's email. And now they were just finding excuses to argue. They had purchased,
and you're not even in the conversation yet.
Yeah,
They're just...
they had purchased like a hardcover album for the photo booth, and she's emailing me at 4 a.m. and she's like, "Where is the book? We didn't get the book," and blah blah blah. I'm like, "Girl, it's." Of course, I didn't reply, but I was like, "Girl, it's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I can't give you a book if I don't have photos." Like. With a book, like we get the photos from the night and then we design the book, we send it out to get printed and then we mail it to you. Like these things. We talked about it when you signed your contract.
Oh my gosh.
Why are you emailing me at 4 a.m.? It was just
It was wild.
that has been my craziest story with a bride and a groom.
That is.
And it's, again, I think alcohol had to do with it because, that's not normal. Like, it's your wedding night. Why are you in the hotel, like, emailing us? So later we found out that almost every vendor got an email during that time period.
No.
They were trying just to complain about everything to try to get money back from every single vendor.
That's absolutely.
The venue told me, the planner told me, like I think the DJ told me, like that's how they spent their wedding night, emailing people to get some sort of money back.
I will tell you this. I think a lot of clients don't realize we are all friends.
Yeah.
We
talk to each other.
We talk to each other. And so if something's going on and something crazy like this happens, we're going to reach out to every single person that's at that wedding and be like, "Hey, was this your experience? Is this, how?" And they do not realize
it's crazy
that we talk to each other.
It's so crazy. But anyways, oh my God, we are running out of time.
Oh yes, sorry.
I know you have some exciting news for us I want you to share with our listeners.
Yes. So, right when this is dropping, so we are going to be going ahead and I'm going to make an announcement.
Ooh.
We so as Bartenders for You, we are, like I said, you guys go ahead and provide all the alcohol, and that is how that company is run with mixers and everything. My husband and I, because we don't have more on our plate, or we decided let's just add one more thing. We actually started another business. It is Bartenders to You. This is a sister company of Bartenders for You, and this company actually has its liquor license, so we can do cash bars. We can do anything if you want to actually purchase the alcohol from us, and then we can actually take it to the venue and everything. So we can do that, and so now we can service both different types of events, and so we'll hopefully open up a lot more doors.
How exciting!
Very
Congratulations!
exciting. Thank you so much.
I love that Bartenders for You and now Bartenders to You.
Yeah. So, and it was so funny. We're like, how can we make this more complicated for everybody? So, but if they reach out to Bartenders for You, and then just with the questions that we ask, it's we can say, oh, that would be better for our sister company. So we can do both.
And this is a Tipsy Guest exclusive.
It's
you
so
heard
true.
it here first.
Woo, that's right.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank
I
you.
love having you here. And again, we will be posting her social media, her website on the show notes and the episode blog. So make sure you check that out and hire them for your wedding. They are incredible to work with. So thank you. And I'm sure you'll be back. I love talking to you.
I know.
I'm sure I'll have you back.
Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you to our listeners. Next time, we'll see you. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Tipsy Guest Podcast. If you know someone who could benefit from these tips, spread the love and share it with them. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Next round's on us. Same time, same place. Cheers! This podcast is brought to you by MVP Photo Booth, the #1 photo booth rental company in San Antonio, Austin, and Central Texas.